the building. Oh, I'm in the zone, man. Yeah. Now tell me who can stop me. I'm in the zone. Competition's none in a league of my own. All about the W. I'ma bring it home. When it's over with, I'ma be the king of the throne. Now who can stop me? I'm in the zone. Competition's none in a league of my own. All about the W. I'ma bring it home. When it's over with, I'ma be the king of the throne. I'm in the zone. Look, I'm in the zone. The competition whack. Tell them let's get it on. My hustle getting crazy and I'ma finish strong. You threw up so many bricks, you probably could build a home.
And here we are, another week, another video, moving on to week 12. Congrats once again to our number one team, Will, and his choice of song. That was PL in the Zone. Another great selection for an intro song here as we start looking at our next week here in week 12. And if you think about it, how quickly this season has moved on, I mean, we only have, 3 more weeks of the regular season, and then we're in our playoffs. And some of you are sitting in a good spot. Some are pretty worried, and some of you are, I guess, not concerned at all because you're towards the bottom, and maybe you're already thinking about keepers. But remember, you can ruin someone's season. If I remember right, that happened to me last year, of losing on the last week and not making the playoffs. Good time. So just know that you still have plenty of opportunities to do that to someone else, just because maybe that you're not going to make the playoffs. Why not take someone else down with you? So, all right, well, let's jump in. Let's take a look at our matchups here for week 12. So let's scroll up. We'll save mine to the end like we like to do. First one that I have on the radar here, we've got Jay versus Adam. 2 teams that are 5-6. 2 teams that drastically need a win. Really, probably can't afford to lose. It's too early. There's still a lot that can happen and so on, but you would probably think whoever loses this might be out of playoff contention. So you need a win. So if you weren't worried, you weren't nervous, Jay, Adam, you should be. You need the win this week here. So let me tell you who's going to get it. If you look at it, Jay has a slight advantage according to the projections. I definitely give him, I guess not definitely, I'll give him the quarterback, edge because he has Lamar. But I don't know, Kyler could actually put up some points, I think, against Seattle. Running back, I do think is a toss-up just between the two. No one who I think is going to score 30 points, but I think definitely, for the most part, pretty consistent. Give the wide receiver edge there to Jay. I know they both had wide receivers that already played on Thursday night and just did awful. But Jay does have CeeDee Lamb. Granted, Dallas is awful as of right now, but he still gets his target share, and I think he will at least get that 14.95 points, or pretty darn close to it anyways. Tight end, I say, is kind of a toss-up. So really, I guess it does count. It's really close, and I think it actually is just like the projections say. Jay would win by 6-7 points, and that's exactly how I'm going to call it. So I'm going to say Jay gets the win here, slight advantage with the quarterback and wide receiver, and well, Adam, that's true. That's going to put a hurting on your playoff possibilities here, but not necessarily. Prove me wrong, win this week, and then you still got a lot to play for. So, all right, so we say Jay wins that one. Next, Ian versus Will. As you all know, for those of you, if you listen to these videos, I picked against Will once. I got it wrong. I don't pick against him very often anymore, or ever. I wonder, maybe I haven't even much after that time frame on here, and I'm not going to this week either. I know Ian says Ian's going to win, right? And says Ian has the wide receiver edge. Could be close, could be ugly. Actually, Will. I mean, you have Jennings, you have Samuel, and then Brock Purdy is not the starting quarterback anymore. And trust me, I know, because I had to find another option. So that might put a damper on this prediction, but I'm still going to go with it. I mean, I already was giving the wide receiver edge to Ian. I said tight end edge as well because he has Kittle. I said quarterback's kind of a toss-up. Nick's Stroud. Yeah, probably both 17 sounds about right for both of them. Will, I'm just going to say that, he relies on his running back core there, Barkley and Henry, and that's what's going to push him over the edge and for the win. And that keeps him number one, right? And then, keeps supplying us with amazing music on every predictions video. So we'll say there, Will gets that win. Next, we got Josh versus Sean. Two teams at 4-7. Not mathematically eliminated, but I would definitely say you lose this matchup, you are mathematically eliminated. You would have 8 losses, and that just don't think there's no way, no matter how things turn out, that record would be a possibility to make it into the playoffs. So, but with this matchup, let's see, they're saying, right, Sean wins by about 10. Well, that's not what I'm going to say. So I'm giving, let's see, how did I give the edge here? I gave the quarterback edge to Sean. Jaden Daniels, yeah. Dallas, yeah. That team's just hurting. So I definitely think, but against Baker Mayfield, the Giants, it could be pretty darn close to a toss-up. But I gave the edge to Sean. I did give Sean also the running back edge. And you've got Gibbs, you've got Walker, you've got 2 big names on there. I do think, though, and I just got done saying it right with Will's matchup, that without Brock Purdy and how San Francisco is going to do, I do think they rely on McCaffrey a lot in that game because it's happened before. I remember if Purdy's gotten banged up or things like that, it just seems like that's they just utilize McCaffrey a ton. So I definitely think he's going to score some points. I also think Josh has the edge in wide receiver. Yeah, Collins, and not so much Robinson, but I think Nico Collins will have a really good day. And then Waddle, I actually think it's back on track as well and outperforms Ridley, McLaurin. Again, probably really close, as I think this matchup will be. Tight end, we'll say a toss-up between the two. So Sean should win, right, based on projections, based on quarterback and running back. But no, that's not the way I'm going. I'm saying, Josh, you we'll say pull the upset here, even though you're both with the same record, but you are projected to lose. So you're going to defy those odds and you're going to win. And you're going to keep your tiny, small playoff hopes alive yet for at least one more week. So we say Josh gets that win. Next, we got Jeremy versus Dez. If you're looking at the projection scores right here, it says Dez is going to destroy him. Well, that's because Jeremy's dealing with bye weeks and a couple of players on bye that I'm sure he will get changed out right before the game start tomorrow. But even with all that, I don't think that's going to matter. Let's see, Dez already had a defense that scored in the green, 10 points, and then Jeremy had Pickens, who only scored 8.8 points. And underperformed already. So I'm already going to give the edge to Dez without even diving into it too much. But to expand on it, I did give Dez the running back and wide receiver edge on here. Mixon, mostly it's Mixon, and especially since Jeremy's without Robinson this week based on a bye. And then wide receiver, he's got Jefferson. No matter who they play against, I don't think it matters. Harrison, same thing. So I think Dez wins easy this week. Not as much of a blowout as it shows on there because Jeremy will, have a little better team heading into tomorrow afternoon. But I think Dez wins easy. So next we got Clint versus Jake, our number 2 team versus someone who's 3-8. Really close as of right now in the projection scores. Only has them within a couple of points of each other. Clinton, though, tight end, had only 3.9 points, which Njoku, which you would think is a strong play on there. So definitely that hurts going into the week. Boswell, who's been his superstar right all year, that he's been relying on, scoring more points than half my team, and so on, only gave him 7 points. So I think that's going to hurt. And if you scroll down a little farther too, he left Nick Chubb on the bench, which granted, he's got a lot of running back depth. So it's hard as I was looking at him, like, why would you do that? Yeah, I get it. It probably was between him and Dobbins, tough matchup, toss up, and so on. And you're going to keep Williams and Achane in there. Yeah, I get it. So, but I think that's going to hurt you. And I think that's going to prevent you from winning this week. I'm just going to actually give Jake the win, who doesn't need it. Jake's pretty much out of the playoffs with 8 losses already. But, again, we've said this before in other videos. That's what Jake does. Hangs around, puts in a lineup, gets lucky, and gives some of us losses when we don't want them. So I am giving the quarterback edge. I mean, he's got Mahomes. I think Mahomes outscores Goff. Also, the wide receiver edge. We know running back is very strong for Clint, but wide receiver, Flowers, Dell, Smith, and Jigba. Yeah, I think that goes Jake's favor. And also, of course, the tight end, almost by default, right? You think Mark Andrews at least scores more than 3.9 points. So I'm giving the win and the upset, taking down the number 2 team to Jake this week. So there you go. And my matchup, another one. I think this was kind of what we talked about with Dez and Jeremy. Jeremy dealing with a lot of players on bye. So is John. Out of all weeks to play John, this is perfect for me. And I've got to take advantage of that. So, of course, I'm going to give myself the win. I think if you asked John, he would say the same thing, that his team that he just tried to put together through the waiver wire is going to have a tough chance this week of winning. I also have a bye week. I mean, it's what, Taysom Hill? And Purdy's injured, dealing with that. I mean, Taysom Hill scored me 40-some points last week. So that's one of those that, need to get through this bye and get him back in. And hopefully, of course, he can continue that production. But I think I'll be fine outside of that. Quarterback, I gave the edge to John Hurts over Richardson. Then I'm, piecing in. Fingers crossed that Richardson plays the full game and doesn't get injured and all that stuff against the Lions. I mean, I want him to have an okay day, hoping that maybe he has a rushing touchdown to help with the points. But, of course, not good enough to beat the Lions, which don't think that's going to happen. Running back edge, I do give to myself just because, again, John's running backs, he had to pick up off the waiver wire and already had Ford with 3.7 points and not a great start. Wide receiver edge, that's probably my strength. So between Brown, Kupp, Hill, I think they will definitely have decent weeks. Tight end edge, sure, can go to Kelsey. Absolutely. I don't think it's going to matter, though. So give myself, I don't want to say an easy victory and sound cocky about it, but I do think I'm going to win by enough to be comfortable. Let's say it that way. And then, that would move me to 7-5 and very, very happy with that'd be a 3-game win streak. So, all right. So let's recap. Who's winning this week? We got Jay, Will, Josh, Dez, Jake, and myself that we're all calling as winners for this week as we enter into week 12 here. So, well, let's look at real quick, the standings. And we talked about it, right? We have 3 weeks left of the regular season. And if you kind of look at wins of where everybody sits, to be comfortable, to feel like you're in the playoffs, unofficially, number 1 and number 2 teams, Will, Clint, each of them right now, I think, with 3 weeks left, you win 1, you should be in. They're fighting for bigger and better things, of course, with trying to finish at number 1 for that additional money that's on the line, of course. But as of right now, I think, if they went 1 and 2 over these last 3 weeks, they'd still be fine and they would be in the playoffs. If we drop down a little bit, though, Ian and John, which I'm looking at right now, right, I picked them both to lose. They would probably need 2 wins to be comfortable. If they lost all 3, right, they would be 7-7, and there's probably a good chance that they wouldn't be in the playoffs, or at least John probably wouldn't based on points, since Ian has more points for as of right now. But for them, to feel comfortable, you need to really win probably 2 out of your last 3. For the next little ranking here, right, between Dez and myself sitting at 6-5, to feel comfortable, we got to win out. We need, all those wins and only keep that loss mark, at 5. We'd said before that, that 6-loss mark was probably the cutoff. But again, to feel comfortable, we would really need to win out. As of right now, I have us projected both to win this week. So those are 6. Right below that, we've got Adam and we've got Jay sitting at 5 and 6. How many wins do they need? Well, what I wrote down here is they need a hope and a prayer. They need to win out. They need a lot of chaos to happen above them. The good news is they have more points for than John, than myself. So yeah, they really need to win out, hopefully, and they're hoping that myself and John have a couple of losses, if not all three of these next week losses, and just hope for chaos. And there's still definitely a chance. Their points for definitely helps. When they're ahead of a couple of teams that are actually ahead of them, hoping for a record to be tied. And then what do we got left? We've got our bottom four teams: Sean, Josh, Jake, Jeremy. Wow. So Sean and then the three J's. Unfortunately, like we said, with 7 losses, it's a good chance that they're not going to make the playoffs. 8 losses, pretty much for sure you're out of the playoffs. But hang in there, keep playing, knock somebody else out of the playoffs, keep setting that lineup. But also remember, again, we're in a keeper league. There's still plenty that you can do, looking at your talent on your team and seeing and, making smart choices, of setting the best lineups you can, but then really, kind of looking at maybe some of your younger players on your team and how that's going to look like hopefully for next year, and and identifying maybe who you're going to keep for keepers. So there you go. There's kind of what it kind of looks like as from a win standpoint. On Will and Clint probably really just need 1. Ian and John need 2 to feel comfortable. Des and myself need 3 to really feel comfortable. Adam and Jay just need chaos. I said a hope and a prayer to possibly still make the playoffs, and then the other 4, the bottom 4, really are still playing for fun. You never know. I mean, 7 losses maybe could get you close. Of course, have to score a lot of points, and but we'll see how it all plays out. Right, 3 weeks left to go. So, and just a little side note, I know I mentioned on the recap video, I was working on doing a aligning a song to a team to kind of explain your season. Unfortunately, this weekend just got a little crazy. Thanksgiving coming up, a lot of prep work, a lot of cleaning, and to make sure we're ready to go for next week. And unfortunately, just didn't get a chance to put that together. So with the holiday week next week, I'm hoping that I will be able to have that, post that video, and it might even be off cycle. It might be separate than the recap video. It might be on its own. I have a list of 20 songs kind of saved that I think could represent some of you. However we plan on doing it, if it's what explains your season, or I've even thought about using it as part of interviews or something like that. I don't know. We'll see how this next week goes with the holiday, and if I have some free time and can put that together, and I'll try to have that out to you soon. And again, that'll just be separate. It's just something for fun that I was just thinking about. Since we're getting a little bit more into music, it seems like with these videos now that we're really thinking about the songs that we are choosing versus just last year it felt like I just tried to do my best and pick a song that I felt like was somewhat motivating and somewhat explained the week that we were going, and we just went with it. And it seems like this year actually we're trying to be a little bit more specific with what song, what motivation, and how that looks, and of course how it represents the person who's choosing it, which has been our number 1 team, and for the most part it's been Will choosing these songs that we've had at least on every other video. So all right, so speaking of that, we'll turn it back over to Will's selection of PL in the Zone to round out our video, and we'll all talk then throughout tomorrow here on Sunday, and we'll kind of monitor how the games go. Good luck, everyone.
You mad that I'm playing? Call it sideline. Hey, it ain't over till it's over. Buzzer be the mind state. If I ain't in the zone, then what you call this? They ask me how I do it. I tell them all wrist. Why y'all miss? I could probably do a backflip, fade away, and still watch the ball switch. Camera flash when I step up to the podium. Haters looking salty, easy on the sodium. You should plan to lose if you thinking about folding them. Even with a joystick, it's still no control. No can stop me, I'm in the zone. Competition's none in the league of my own. All about the W, I'ma bring it home. When it's over with, I'ma be the king of the throne. Now who can stop me, I'm in the zone. Competition's none in the league of my own. All about the W, I'ma bring it home. When it's over with, I'ma be the king of the throne. I'm in the zone.